The New York Police Department deployed an additional 644 transit officers to the city's subway stations in the wake of last weekend's fatal stabbings of 2 passengers and the wounding of 2 others, though the move is being slammed as inadequate. The chairman of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which runs the subways, said that the additional deployment is well short of the 1,500 cops necessary to make riders feel secure enough to return to the subway en masse. The NYPD this week said it would send 331 cops from the Transit Bureau as well as 313 patrol officers into 68 subway stations throughout the city. The department as a whole has more than 36,000 officers. We are able to achieve this through overtime, deployment of officers normally assigned to administrative duties and reassignment of other non-transit officers, NYPD Transit Chief Kathleen O'Reilly told the New York Post. The officers will fan out through the system during the morning and evening rush hour commutes. The public can expect to see the surge in uniformed presence in the system for the foreseeable future, patrolling platforms, securing entryways and riding the trains, O'Reilly said. Share this article. Share. I'm here to ensure all New Yorkers that we are invested in keeping everyone safe. But the NTA's Foy told Pix TV that the NYPD needs to send an additional 1,000 officers on top of the 644 that were deployed this week. According to Foy, there were well over 4,000 NYPD officers patrolling the subways in 1995. Before the NYPD announced this most recent deployment, there were around 2,400 officers in the subways, according to Foy, who said that the public needs to see the same level of police engagement that was witnessed in 1995. From a customer perception point of view, customers have to feel safe and secure for them to go back to the system, Foy said. The MTA's ridership is pivotal to New York City economy's regional recovery, and we need additional police resources and, importantly, additional mental health resources from the city. There are too many emotionally disturbed people both on the streets and in the subways. Since the onset of the pandemic, ridership in the New York City subway system has plummeted some 90%. With most subway commuters working from home, the transit system has been badly impacted. Some studies have suggested that the pandemic has cost the MTA between $7 billion and $8. $5 billion. The move to deploy more police officers comes just days after authorities said Ricoberto Lopez stabbed 4 homeless people, 2 of them fatally, in the New York City subway system. Lopez was arraigned on murder and attempted murder charges on Monday. A court complaint said he confessed to the attacks. A message-seeking comment was left for Lopez's attorney. Lopez, 21, who is said to be mentally ill, was taken into custody Saturday night at 186th Street and Audubon Avenue in Washington Heights. One victim was discovered dead on a subway train in Queens late on Friday with several stab wounds to his neck and torso, police said. Two hours later, a 44-year-old woman, Claudine Roberts, was found stabbed to death in a subway car in Upper Manhattan. Her father, Winston Roberts, told the New York Post that she struggled with mental illness since her teens. She had been living in a shelter after recently getting out of a hospital, but she stopped by his home just Wednesday, he said. "I loved my daughter," he said. "I tried to do the best for her." Lopez is also charged in 2 other attacks in Upper Manhattan subway stations late Friday and early Saturday. The victims, both men, survived. Authorities believe all 4 victims were homeless. The slashings over the weekend, in addition to the spike in violent crime throughout the city over the course of the nearly year-long pandemic, have heightened concerns about if and when the city will return to normal. NYPD figures show that 1,868 people were hit by gunfire in 1,531 separate shooting incidents last year, matching the combined totals for 2018 and 2019, when 1,820 victims and 1,531 shooting incidents were recorded. Last year, Police Commissioner Dermot Shea blamed New York's sharp rise in crime on New York's new bail reform laws. The MTA also said that transit workers were facing increased threats, harassments, and assaults since the state mandated that subway service be shut down overnight in order to disinfect the trains. In May, the MTA shut down subway service between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. each night so that the train cars could be thoroughly disinfected. In the 116-year history of the New York City subway, it has halted overnight service just a handful of times, including extreme weather events or worker strikes. Overnight service was also briefly suspended in the wake of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks in Lower Manhattan. Transit workers say that the empty train stations put them at greater risk. According to the MTA, 5 subway workers have been assaulted between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. since the abbreviated schedule went into effect last spring. By comparison, there were just 4 attacks on employees between those hours between May 2019 and January 2020, when the trains were running on a full schedule. But workers' unions claim that the actual number of incidents in which transit employees are harassed and threatened is higher, though they are not counted since they don't rise to the level of an assault as defined by state law. Since August, the MTA has counted a total of almost 300 instances of harassment against transit workers during all hours of the day. The MTA said on Monday that subways will run for 2 more hours every day starting later this month, and the nightly system shutdown for cleaning will be reduced as part of a phased reopening. Starting on Monday, subways will run until 2 a.m., and start again at 4 a.m., the first expansion of operating hours since shutdowns were instituted in May of last year to allow for cleanings during the pandemic. "We have determined that a shortened overnight closure is an appropriate step forward towards the return of around-the-clock service," said Sarah Feinberg, interim New York City Transit president, at a press conference with Governor Andrew Cuomo. The cleanings that had gone on between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. will continue in the shortened shutdown period, she said. We are confident that we can maintain the cleaning and disinfecting that we have been able to do thus far, she said.